On the whole question of the principle of it, are you just against the use of any animal, or is it the way in which they're treated? Is it the ethical argument of the way in which the animals are treated rather than principle?
Miriam,
are you just using the welfare issue?
All intensive farming systems seriously compromise animal welfare. I think farmers themselves would admit that. I think the problem in relation to fur farming is that the animals in question clearly suffer, regardless of what the gentlemen here say. A report produced for the European Commission in 2001 clearly stated that the welfare of these animals is seriously compromised.
They refused to sign that report.
You don't, anybody who knows anything about animals, who looks at the state of animals in fur farms, has, you know, common sense. We don't need people with lots of letters after their names to tell us these animals are suffering.
Veterinarians and public animal welfare control, they disagree with you.
Would you be happy, sorry, I'll bring you back, if you could look and see the animals were well treated? Would that solve your problem?
Miriam, it's not practically or economically viable to keep humanely.
Veterinarians and scientists say something different.
For every report you can cite, I can cite 2 which contradict what you're saying. And it is simply not practical or economically viable to keep these predatory animals, essentially predatory animals, humanely, in large numbers. In the wild, mink are solitary animals. They would avoid each other if at all possible.
It's not a wild animal anymore, though.
Yes, it is. And the proof of that is when they escape into the wild, they revert immediately to their natural behaviour.
Claire, you talk, about it, we've been talking about how animals are killed cruelly, but, if you go into an ordinary slaughterhouse, that's a pretty brutal area as well. I mean, what's the difference between that and what we're talking about now?
Well, personally speaking, I would have a grave difficulty with a lot of the practices in slaughterhouses, and to me...
But it's not banned. What I'm saying is we're looking here to ban something.
It's not banned, but, society evolves and attitudes change, and what was unacceptable or what was acceptable at one time can become unacceptable. For example, years ago, people thought nothing of going down to downtown Rome on a Friday night and watch people being thrown to the lions. It was normal activity. That became then unacceptable.
But what's the difference between eating something and wearing something, whether it's shoes or a coat? I mean, that's what people will say. What is the difference?
I think it's completely unnecessary. Now, I don't eat meat. I don't think it's necessary to eat meat, but the idea of a luxury item is a very, very different thing.
Would you wear leather shoes?
Very rarely, to be honest with you, and people don't need to. And you see, the point about it is we can talk about sort of saying, oh, look, breeding animals for fur is a different thing. These are animals that are not supposed to be in captivity, and if there was no problem with the way in which they're being bred, well, why have new regulations been brought in if there was no problem? Why are countries all over Europe banning the practice? Because it is so unnatural.